You've heard the phrase, use it or lose it your whole life. But when it comes to your health after 60, it's not just a casual saying, it's a biological rule written into your DNA. Science has issued a stark warning for men in our age group, and it's one that's been ignored for far too long. The silence that has fallen over your bedroom could be fueling a silent enemy growing within your body. So today, we are going to talk about ejaculation, not as a matter of pleasure or performance, but as a critical act of self-preservation. We're going to discuss it not with shame or embarrassment, but with the seriousness it deserves. Because your health, your strength, and your very future could depend on understanding what comes next. It's time to break the silence. I'm Dr. Megan Fisher, and I've dedicated my career to men's health, specifically for those of us navigating life after 60. In the privacy of my office, I see the quiet fear in the eyes of good men who believe their best years are behind them, that their sex life is over. They speak of a lost spark, of a confidence that has faded. But what truly worries me as a physician isn't just their sadness or the blow to their ego, it's the profound and scientifically documented physical consequences of giving up. When a man's sexual system goes dormant, it triggers a cascade of negative effects that reach far beyond the bedroom. This isn't about pride, it's about proactive health. It's about protecting your manhood and your dignity for all the years to come. Let's be honest about what's happening. It often begins with an erection that isn't as firm as it used to be. The fear of failure leads to avoidance. You start making excuses, turning away from your partner, telling yourself you're just tired. This lack of sexual activity and, crucially, a lack of regular ejaculation begins what I call the shutdown cycle. Your prostate, a gland designed for regular function, can begin to accumulate old cells and potentially harmful fluids. Your brain, sensing this inactivity, gets the signal to slow down the production of testosterone, the very hormone that fuels your energy, your muscle mass, and your erections. It becomes a devastating downward spiral. Lower testosterone weakens your erections further, which reinforces your avoidance, shutting the system down even more. Think of your body like a magnificent classic car. In its prime, the engine was powerful and responsive. But if you park that car in a garage and let it sit for years, what happens? The oil thickens into sludge, the parts begin to rust, the battery dies, and eventually the engine seizes up completely. Your sexual and reproductive system works on a very similar principle of dynamic activity. It was not designed to be left dormant. When it becomes stagnant, it doesn't just lose its ability to perform, it becomes vulnerable. The natural flushing mechanism that protects your prostate ceases to function effectively, creating an environment where problems can begin. This is not just about losing your vitality, it's about unknowingly opening the door to serious health risks that could have been prevented. Let me tell you about a patient of mine, a man I'll call Robert. At 72, he was a widower, a kind man who had built a wonderful life with his wife for nearly 50 years. When she passed away, a light went out in his eyes. He came to me for a routine checkup, but I could sense a deeper issue. When I gently asked about his personal life, he just shook his head and said, "Doctor, since my wife passed, I haven't even thought about it. I feel like that part of me died with her." His words were heavy with a sense of finality, as if his masculinity and his vitality were buried alongside the love of his life. This resignation is something I see far too often. Robert's story is a profound example of how grief and loneliness can trigger the shutdown cycle. He had accepted a life devoid of physical intimacy, believing it was a natural and irreversible part of aging and loss. He wasn't just missing his wife, he was missing a fundamental part of himself. This feeling of being incomplete, of having a core piece of his identity locked away, was affecting his overall energy and mood. He believed his days of feeling like a vibrant, whole man were over. This acceptance of dormancy is a dangerous trap, because the body listens to the mind's surrender, and the physical consequences begin to quietly accumulate, unseen but incredibly significant, chipping away at a man's health and his spirit. This emotional shutdown has a direct, physical translation in the body. For Robert, giving up on his sexuality meant his entire reproductive system was put into a state of hibernation. The intricate network of nerves, blood vessels, and hormonal signals that support erections and ejaculation was no longer being called upon. His body, following the fundamental rule of biology, began to decommission what it perceived as unused infrastructure. The pathways that once carried signals of desire and arousal grew quiet. This wasn't just a mental state of resignation, it was the beginning of a physiological retreat that would make it exponentially harder to reclaim that part of his life, and more importantly, would leave his prostate vulnerable and his hormonal balance in disarray. Then there is David, a 68-year-old man, still married to the woman he loves. On the surface, everything looked fine. But in the privacy of my office, he confessed the quiet tragedy unfolding in his home. "Doctor," he said, his voice barely a whisper, "I make excuses to my wife. It's easier to say I'm tired than to face the shame of not being able to perform. We feel more like roommates every day." David's fear of failure had built a wall between him and his wife, a wall made of unspoken frustration and deep-seated shame. Every night was a new exercise in avoidance, a silent dance of turning away, pretending to be asleep, and hoping the issue would just disappear. David's situation illustrates the corrosive power of shame. The fear of not being able to achieve or maintain an erection had become so powerful that he chose isolation over the risk of intimacy. This avoidance, meant to protect his ego, was actually accelerating the physical decline. Each time he turned away, he reinforced the shutdown cycle. His body received the message that erections were no longer required, so the systems responsible for them weakened further. The emotional distance he created with his wife was a mirror of the physiological disconnect happening within his own body. He was trapped in a feedback loop where the fear of failure was creating the very failure he feared. The silence in David's bedroom was deafening, echoing the growing emotional chasm between him and his wife. Intimacy, which was once a source of connection and joy, had become a minefield of anxiety and potential humiliation. This loss of physical connection doesn't just affect one person, it starves a relationship of a vital nutrient. They were living parallel lives under the same roof, the unspoken issue hanging in the air between them. David's struggle wasn't just about sex. It was about losing his partner, his confidant, and the man he used to be in her eyes. He was losing his confidence, not just in the bedroom, but in his life. Feeling his masculine identity slowly eroding with every excuse he made. These stories of Robert and David are not unique. They represent the silent struggles of millions of men who feel they have lost a core part of their identity. They believe their virility has an expiration date and that this decline is an inevitable part of aging. But what if I told you that this belief is not only wrong, but dangerous? What if I told you that science offers not just an explanation, but a clear path forward? The answers don't lie in accepting defeat, but in understanding the profound biological truth of how your body was designed to function. It's time to move past the shame and into the science, because knowledge is the first step to reclaiming your power. Let's start with a groundbreaking piece of evidence. A major, long-term study conducted by researchers at Harvard University followed thousands of men for years and came to a startling conclusion. They found a direct, undeniable link between how often a man ejaculates and his risk of developing prostate cancer. The findings were clear. Men who reported higher ejaculation frequency had a significantly lower risk of being diagnosed with this dreaded disease. This wasn't a small, insignificant finding. It was a powerful signal from the world of medical science, a warning that our sexual health is inextricably linked to our long-term survival and well-being. This isn't just a random correlation, it's a profound insight into the mechanics of male health. Think about what this Harvard study is truly telling us. It's saying that an active sexual life, specifically the act of ejaculation, is not a luxury or a mere act of pleasure. It is a form of preventative maintenance for one of the most critical glands in your body. It reframes the conversation entirely. Suddenly, this isn't about performance or ego anymore. It's about preservation. It's about protecting your health, your strength, and your future. Science is handing you a key to reducing your risk for a disease that men everywhere fear, and that key is hidden in the very function you may have thought was lost to time. So the critical question is, why? Why does ejaculation have such a protective effect on the prostate? The answer lies in a simple but powerful biological principle I call the flushing mechanism. Imagine a small, slow-moving stream. If the water stops flowing, what happens? It becomes stagnant. Leaves, silt, and debris accumulate, and the water becomes a breeding ground for bacteria and algae. Your prostate functions in a similar way. It is constantly producing fluids. The act of ejaculation is the powerful current that regularly flushes this system out, clearing the ducts and preventing the buildup of old cells and potentially harmful substances. When this natural flushing mechanism is abandoned, the environment inside the prostate changes for the worse. The fluids can become stagnant, creating a backlog of cellular debris. Some scientific theories suggest that this buildup can include potential carcinogens that, if left to sit for long periods, may contribute to the cellular changes that lead to cancer. It's a process of slow, silent accumulation. By not regularly clearing the pipes, you are allowing potentially toxic materials to linger in a sensitive area. This is the physical reality of the use it or lose it principle. When the system goes dormant, it doesn't just stop working. It can become a repository for problems. Think of your prostate as a delicate yet resilient organ that thrives on activity. It was designed for a regular cycle of production and release. When that cycle is broken for months or even years, the gland can become sluggish and unhealthy. The tissues can become inflamed, and the normal, healthy cellular turnover process can be disrupted. This is why maintaining ejaculatory function is not about hitting a certain number or meeting a performance quota. It is a fundamental act of biological housekeeping, ensuring that this vital part of your male anatomy remains clean, healthy, and functional for the long haul. Your actions or inaction directly impact the internal health of your body. Now let's look beyond the prostate and at the hormonal command center of your body, your brain. Your entire hormonal system operates on a sophisticated feedback loop. When you are sexually active, when you experience arousal and climax, your brain receives a powerful signal. It says, "The system is online and in demand." In response, it sends out chemical messengers that encourage the production of key male hormones, most notably testosterone. This creates a virtuous cycle. Sexual activity promotes testosterone, and healthy testosterone levels fuel your libido, your energy, and the quality of your erections, encouraging more sexual activity. It's a system designed to sustain itself through use. Testosterone is the very fuel of your masculinity. It's what builds muscle, maintains bone density, powers your competitive drive, and crucially, supports your erectile function and libido. When you stop engaging in sexual activity, your brain gets the opposite message. This system is no longer needed. The demand signal vanishes. In response, the brain begins to downregulate the production of testosterone. Why would the body expend precious resources creating a hormone for a system that has been decommissioned? This is the core of the hormonal shutdown. The decline in testosterone is not just a random event of aging. It is often a direct physiological response to a lack of sexual activity. This hormonal decline creates a devastating downward spiral. As your testosterone levels drop, your energy wanes, your libido fades, and your ability to get a firm erection diminishes even further. This physical reality reinforces the psychological belief that you're past your prime, making you even more likely to avoid intimacy. This avoidance then sends a stronger signal to the brain to further reduce testosterone production. You become trapped in a self-perpetuating cycle of decline, where physical and psychological factors feed off each other, accelerating the shutdown of your masculine vitality. Breaking this cycle is paramount to reclaiming your health. There's one more critical player in this story, a molecule called nitric oxide. Think of it as the spark that ignites the entire erectile process. When you become sexually aroused, your brain sends a signal down to the nerves in your pelvis. These nerves then release nitric oxide into the tissues of the penis. This molecule is a master vasodilator, meaning it tells the smooth muscles in the walls of your arteries to relax and open up. This relaxation allows a surge of blood to flow into the erectile chambers, creating the pressure and firmness of a healthy erection. Without sufficient nitric oxide, this process simply cannot happen effectively. The pathways that produce and respond to nitric oxide are another perfect example of the use it or lose it principle. The more you call upon this system, the more efficient and responsive it becomes. Regular sexual arousal and erections act like exercise for these delicate neural and vascular pathways, keeping them toned, healthy, and ready to work. It ensures that the communication between your brain and your body remains sharp, and that the blood vessels retain their elasticity and ability to dilate on command. This isn't just about plumbing. It's about maintaining a sophisticated and responsive neurological and circulatory network that is central to your sexual function. When you go for long periods without sexual stimulation, these nitric oxide pathways can become sluggish and less responsive. The body, ever efficient, stops maintaining systems that aren't in use. The nerve endings may become less sensitive, and the blood vessels may lose some of their ability to relax and expand. This is why, after a long period of inactivity, the first attempts at intimacy can be frustrating. The machinery is rusty. The signal from the brain might be there, but the response at the local level is weak. This is a physiological reality, not a personal failing, and it's a reality that you have the power to change. So now you see the full picture of the shutdown cycle. It starts with avoidance, driven by fear or circumstance. This inactivity leads to a stagnant prostate, a decline in testosterone production, and a weakening of the nitric oxide pathways. These physical changes make erections even more difficult, which reinforces the avoidance and deepens the cycle. It's a comprehensive system failure. But I am not here to leave you with a message of despair. I am here to tell you that you can break this cycle. You can restart the engine. You can take back control with a proactive plan I call the reactivation routine. This routine is not a magic pill, but a series of simple, powerful, and dignified steps you can take to systematically reawaken your body's natural masculine functions. It's about creating the right internal environment, improving blood flow, providing the right fuel, and retraining the system to bring your vitality back online. This is your battle plan for reclaiming your health, your confidence, and your manhood. The first step, and the absolute foundation of everything else, is to get your blood flowing. Without robust circulation, nothing else can work. An erection is, at its core, a cardiovascular event. It is all about blood flow. The simplest, most effective way to start is with a daily brisk walk. I'm not talking about a leisurely stroll. I mean walking with purpose for 30 to 45 minutes, enough to get your heart rate up and break a light sweat. This type of aerobic exercise is phenomenal for your entire cardiovascular system, but it has a specific benefit for erectile health. It strengthens your heart, improves the health of your blood vessels, and boosts the production of nitric oxide throughout your body. Think of it as a system-wide tune-up, ensuring that when your brain sends the signal for an erection, your heart and arteries are ready and able to deliver the blood flow required. Brisk walking does something more specific too. It stimulates circulation in your pelvic region, the very area that needs it most. The rhythmic motion of your legs and hips acts like a natural pump, encouraging fresh, oxygenated blood to flow into the deep pelvic arteries that feed the erectile tissues. This helps to combat the stagnation that sets in with a sedentary lifestyle and directly nourishes the nerves and muscles responsible for your sexual function. It's a simple, free, and incredibly powerful habit that lays the groundwork for every other part of your recovery. You are literally walking your way back to better erections and a healthier prostate. Now let's add another layer to this foundation: pelvic floor exercises, also known as Kegels for men. This is something often overlooked, but it's critically important. The pelvic floor is a sling of muscles at the base of your pelvis that supports your bladder and bowels and plays a crucial role in both erectile rigidity and ejaculatory control. Just like any other muscle in your body, these muscles can weaken over time, especially with inactivity. Strengthening them gives you a stronger foundation for your erections and more command over your sexual response, which can be a massive boost to your confidence. Performing these exercises is straightforward and can be done anywhere, anytime, without anyone knowing. You simply contract the muscle you would use to stop the flow of urine midstream. Hold the contraction for 3 to 5 seconds, then relax completely. Repeat this 10 to 15 times, aiming for 3 sets a day. By strengthening these muscles, you improve blood flow in the immediate area and enhance the rigidity of your erections by helping to trap blood in the penis. It's like reinforcing the chassis of your car. It makes the entire structure more solid, reliable, and powerful. This is you taking direct, physical control over the machinery of your manhood. Once you've improved your circulation, it's time for step 2, providing your body with the right fuel. You cannot rebuild a high-performance engine with low-grade gasoline. Your diet plays a direct role in your prostate health and your ability to produce testosterone. You can begin to build a form of nutritional armor for your body. This isn't about restrictive dieting. It's about strategically adding in key foods that are known to support male vitality. You are what you eat, and you can choose to eat for the renewed strength and virility you want to achieve. This is a delicious and empowering part of the reactivation process. Let's start with one of the prostate's best friends, the tomato. The vibrant red color of tomatoes comes from a powerful antioxidant called lycopene. Numerous studies have shown that men with higher levels of lycopene in their diet tend to have a lower risk of prostate issues, including prostate cancer. Cooking tomatoes, as in a sauce or paste, actually makes the lycopene more bioavailable, meaning your body can absorb and use it more easily. Adding more tomato sauce, stewed tomatoes, or even a glass of tomato juice to your weekly routine is a simple, effective strategy to provide your prostate with the specific protective nutrients it needs to stay healthy. Next, let's talk about zinc, a mineral that is absolutely essential for the production of testosterone. Zinc is to your testosterone factory what a spark plug is to an engine. Without it, you simply don't get the ignition. One of the best natural sources of zinc is pumpkin seeds. A small handful a day can provide a significant portion of your daily zinc requirement. This mineral is directly involved in the biochemical pathways that convert precursor molecules into active testosterone. Low zinc levels are consistently linked with low testosterone. By ensuring you have adequate zinc, you are giving your body the fundamental building block it needs to refuel your masculine energy. Now we arrive at step 3, a crucial and often sensitive topic, reawakening the ejaculatory reflex. We must approach this with the clinical dignity it deserves. This is not about shame or taboo. This is about essential health maintenance. As we've established, the act of ejaculation is a vital biological function for prostate health. The reflex that controls it is a complex interplay of nerves and muscles. Like any reflex in the body, it can become weak and sluggish if it is not used. You must think of this as a form of physical therapy for your reproductive system. This reflex is a neurological pathway that needs to be kept clear and active. When you go long periods without using it, the connection between your brain's command and your body's response can weaken. The signals may not fire as strongly, and the muscular contractions may become less coordinated and forceful. Therefore, it is essential to gently and regularly exercise this function to keep the pathway open and responsive. This is not about achieving a certain level of performance. It is about reminding your body how to perform a function that is critical for its own well-being. It is a necessary step to break the cycle of dormancy. Crucially, this health maintenance can and should be practiced, even if you do not have a partner. Removing the pressure of partner-related performance is one of the most liberating steps you can take. This allows you to focus solely on the health aspect, on reconnecting with your own body and retraining its systems without any anxiety or fear of judgment. This is an act of self-care and self-preservation. By taking matters into your own hands, you are affirming that your health is your responsibility and that your vitality is not dependent on anyone else. You are taking charge of your own biology in a profound and empowering way. This brings us to the final and perhaps most important step, the mental spark. So much of this battle is fought in the mind. Years of frustration, fear of failure, and the belief that you are broken can create powerful mental blocks that are just as debilitating as any physical issue. Performance anxiety is a vicious cycle. The more you worry about getting an erection, the more elusive it becomes, because anxiety releases hormones like adrenaline that are the direct enemy of the relaxed state needed for arousal. You must learn to get out of your own head. The key is to fundamentally shift your mindset. Stop thinking about sex as a performance with a pass or fail outcome. Instead, reframe it as a health practice, just like going for a walk or eating a healthy meal. When you engage in sexual activity, either alone or with a partner, change your goal. The goal is not a perfect, long-lasting erection. The goal is to stimulate blood flow, to activate the nitric oxide pathways, to flush the prostate, and to send a signal to your brain to make testosterone. When you focus on the process and the health benefits rather than the outcome, the pressure evaporates. To help with this, practice mindfulness. When you are in a moment of intimacy, focus intensely on the physical sensations. What do you feel? What do you smell? What do you hear? Anchor yourself in the present moment rather than worrying about the future. This breaks the cycle of anxious thoughts. Focus on touch and connection, not on the mechanics of the erection. This mental shift is the spark that can reignite the entire system. It reduces the stress hormones that kill erections and allows the natural processes of arousal to unfold. This is how you reclaim not just your function, but your joy and confidence. This 4-step reactivation routine, boosting blood flow, fueling your body, reawakening the reflex, and reigniting the mental spark, is your comprehensive roadmap back to vitality. It is a holistic approach that honors the intricate connection between your mind and your body. Each step builds upon the last, creating a powerful synergy that can break the shutdown cycle for good. This is not a quick fix, but a sustainable strategy for reclaiming your health, your dignity, and your sense of self. You have the power to turn this ship around, to feel strong, confident, and truly alive in your own skin once again. Your sexuality after 60 is not a memory to be cherished. It is a powerful health tool waiting to be used. It is a fundamental pillar of your identity as a man. For too long, this topic has been shrouded in shame, reduced to a question of performance or ego. But today, we have reframed it for what it truly is, a critical component of your long-term well-being. Reclaiming this part of your life is not about recapturing your youth. It is an act of profound self-respect and a declaration that you are in charge of your own health. It is about understanding that your body was designed for activity, for vitality, and for strength. Taking these steps is how you protect your prostate, your hormones, and your very manhood for all the years ahead. Please, do not let the silence in your bedroom become a silent threat to your body. You have the power to restart that engine, to reignite that inner spark and protect your future. Your manhood does not have an expiration date stamped on it by a calendar. It is defined by your strength, your resilience, and your willingness to fight for your health and your dignity. The choice to engage with this part of yourself is the choice to feel fully alive, to maintain your virility not as a trophy, but as an expression of your overall vitality. The best version of you as a man is not a memory from the past. It is the man you decide to be today, armed with knowledge and a plan for action. You are not alone in this journey. The stories of Robert and David are echoed in the quiet homes of millions of men who have felt this same frustration and fear. But today, that silence ends. If this message has resonated with you, if you are ready to take back control and declare that your health matters, I invite you to join a community of men who are doing the same. Go to the comment section and type one word, vitality, .tend. This is not just a comment. It is a statement. It's a signal to yourself and to every other man reading it that you are choosing strength, you are choosing health, and you are choosing to live fully. Let's fill this space with our commitment. This conversation is too important to keep to ourselves. Think of a friend, a brother, or a loved one who might be struggling in silence, who needs to hear that there is hope and a clear path forward. Share this video with them. By passing this knowledge on, you become part of the solution, helping to build a movement dedicated to men's health and dignity. Subscribe to this channel to continue this vital conversation, because every man deserves to live his later years with confidence, strength, and a profound sense of who he is. Together we can change the narrative around aging, replacing silence with empowerment and fear with action. Let's reclaim our health together.